Some people don't know this about me. They only know me as a professor, but before I was a professor, I was a bill collector. And when we were going through training, I was a bill collector for a large bank. They gave us all training, and the training involved listening to tapes of usually men yelling at people and threatening them and telling them to send the money right away. And it used a lot of anger and aggression. And I remember listening to this tape as a young female professional in my 20s and thinking, I can't do that. That's not me. And I don't feel like that would be very effective coming from me. And the lesson that I learned there is that when I got into the role, I was allowed to experiment a little bit. And I realized that a better way to get people to pay and to get people to commit to their responsibilities vis-a-vis the company was to be compassionate. So these were people who were struggling, and I actually was much more effective when I used what came naturally to me to, in this case, do my job better and to advance. It wasn't to act like a man. So the advice at the time was act like, the most successful men in the company, and I found that that didn't work for me at all. In fact, what worked for me was a much more authentic way of being, which was to empathize with their pain and to listen to their problems, and then to talk about how we were going to problem solve to meet the company's objectives and my objectives as a professional. I found it much more successful. And so the lesson of that story to me is that being authentic is actually a very successful way of negotiating, but a lot of the advice that's on the market for negotiations is a one-size-fits-all that's usually some version of act like a man, and a particular version of a man that's aggressive and assertive and domineering. And that doesn't work for a lot of men, but it definitely doesn't work for a lot of women for whom that doesn't come naturally, and all of our socialization tells us to act another way. So I think it's really exciting to finally have some evidence-based practices and techniques and to get comfortable with actually just being authentic and having that be extremely effective in negotiations.